I won't give them the whole a bit of money back, but I'll refund them
Yeah.
some.
Mhm.
I run into that sometimes, but very rarely do I have upset people. I had a guy a few
Well,
weeks
it's
ago.
hard to because if you do, I mean, it would never be the full extreme. But if you offered any kind of refund, you have to hold your an entire year's salary hostage. Because you could
Yeah.
potentially
Yeah,
every client. So you really can't do that because
no,
you can't you can't not take any income for an
Yeah.
entire year in
Yeah.
case
Not the FDIC.
yeah, yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's tough because I feel like at least I need at least 6 months with somebody. Like I feel like really when you really, and I'm sure you know this, Justin, but like really when you really see the changes happen is when you get them through a full cut and then an off season.
Well,
That
you're a
that's
perfect example of that. I thought, I mean, we didn't nail your first prep at all. I wasn't ready for the way your metabolism ran away, and I even said after the show, I think I said something like, "Hey, it was a great prep. It didn't end the way we would have liked. Your metabolism ran away. If you want it, I totally understand if you don't stick around. But now we've learned a lot, and you're going to have a great off season if you do, and you did, and we did. So,
I think instead of leaving you, he bought you a bottle of whiskey, if I'm not mistaken.
oh yeah, that's right. And then after I don't think we peaked him that great, so I think I drank it that whole bottle.
I felt bad because it was my first show back, and I was so like depleted and just in a bad mental state. I was texting Justin like every fucking 5 minutes, asking him questions, and I like afterwards, I'm like, oh fuck, man,
I don't
I
remember
feel
you.
terrible, man.
I don't remember you being bad at all. I remember I was not prepared for it. Was like a light switch around like 10 days out, and you were losing like
I lost
pounds a
like 20
day.
pounds in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it was wild.
I was a light heavy, or not a light heavy, but a middleweight or whatever.
Yeah, yeah. But yeah, because I remember like, man, if you do stick around now, knowing what we know now, you're about to have the best off season in history.
Yeah.
And now I can eat like nothing and just stay at 250. It's like my body just doesn't want to lose the weight now.
Yeah, I bet you it adapts weirdly because I guarantee if you got back into like we did, you could get it to run away again. It's like
Mm.
it's very I don't know the word. It's it's like the girlfriend who just whatever you're into, she's into. Your metabolism's into. You
It seems like when prep it speeds up as I go. I've got a couple clients that are like that too.
Yeah,
They're exceptions. Most people have to fucking starve. It seems like,
yeah.
but there are a few
So
guys.
yeah, it happens. It's pretty rare, but it does. And then sometimes, like you, it just happens like not out of nowhere, but it just accelerates out of nowhere.
Well, it just goes to prove, like, somebody signs up with you the day one of wanting to start a prep, and it's like, how am I supposed to know? I'm sure, like, Justin had no clue that was going to happen, but now he
Yeah.
knows. The client didn't know that about themselves because they never been that lean or in that position. So if I feel like sometimes when you lose a client because of scenarios like they're not happy with, they're not patient enough, it's kind of like good riddance, a little bit, because I'd rather just collect good people that have an understanding, have patience, and understand I have to learn you too. You're a new body, new person. Sometimes I don't get to see you in person. You're right through the computer all the time.
I want to say, just in case any are listening, because I won't disparage any of my clients. I have about the best client list I think I've ever had. I think I almost all of my clients have been with me well over a year now. I think my average client retention is almost 18 months or something now, and that's
That's great,
including the
man.
people who drop off quickly. So really, if you count the 1 or 2 months and done people, if you remove those, I'm probably like 2 years per client. I have a great group right now.
Yeah, it's
Yeah, it
That's
seems
awesome,
like
man.
it's been the same name since COVID.
Hmm.
I,
And
I,
I learned from Paul too. Like, and it happened with me and Paul was working together for somebody like the second year into the third year.
yep.
You really start seeing some results.
Yeah,
Same program and the same communication, and that's what happened with Paul and I. I mean, we did great right off the bat, but it's like things accelerated much better from year 2 into year 3.
Yeah, your second prep was way different, man. We didn't have to starve you this time, and
Yeah.
you were able to eat a lot more food. You looked a lot better, placed higher, improved. I mean, you're easy, man. I really don't have to do too much. I'm the perfect client for Justin, man. I pay him and I never check in. I only check in during contest prep.
Yeah. How do you balance multiple people in a show, Justin, though? You just like an open door, just like, people need you, come to me. I'm not going to chase you all around every 5 minutes. Or
Yeah, generally, well, it's weird and it's hard to get people to kind of understand this. But I've been doing this really, I think since the '90s. I can't remember if it was '99 the first time someone, I helped someone, but it was turn of the millennia, and so thousands of people probably by photos. I've prepped, like 1% of those people, speaking them in person. So like with Brandon Curry, even though I was there, I still have them check in with photos, even if I'm doing in-person check-ins. So really, when it's multiple people, it's no different. I'll have them come in and but it's really more for their individual comfort if they think. And I'll try to say this quickly, but as an analogy, because this sounds confusing, because it's like, how could pictures be easier? You can see the person in person. That makes no sense. If you heart ultrasounds, echocardiograms, when ultrasound technology first came out, they didn't have the computing power to do anything with it. So they send sound waves, it bounce back off the heart and come back. Well, it would be a mirror image. So the heart would be backwards, And so the plan kind of was always, these doctors will learn how to look at the heart like backwards in a mirror image. And then when we have the technology, we'll reverse it. Well, eventually they did get the technology and they reversed the image, and doctors couldn't read the echo because they'd spent the last 15 years looking at an upside down mirrored version of it. You put it the right orientation. And so still to this day, if you get a heart ultrasound, the doctor reads your heart upside down and reversed. And it's kind of like that, for you, a mirror, you're used to seeing yourself in person. And so it might not make sense, but I've seen so many more people in the photos and the lighting style I like and the poses I like and yada, yada, that it's seeing you in person is like, it's like when the heart gets shown correctly. I don't know, I don't trust it. I trust what I've done thousands of times. So even when I do in person, I generally have them come to me when it's multiple people. It depends. If everyone's in the same hotel, I'll try to do that to save them the energy. But I'm still, my real choices are made with the photos.
Yeah.
I'm the same way, man. You just get so used to looking at them. And also you got something to compare it to.
Yeah. You can set them up, line them up, especially during peak week. You can see the progress in person. Because everyone looks good in person too. That's the other thing,
Yeah.
Even local guys, you see them in person, you're like, damn, you're pretty shredded, dude. You look good, But in photos, it's easier to be objective.
Yeah.
Well, I think it was you that told me if you look good in the crap lighting and your check-in photos, you're ready.
Yeah, that's why everyone. Yeah, coach, I got to find better lighting. These photos don't do me justice. I'm like, I know, but when you're fucking shredded, they will do you justice.
When you get on stage, they have the screen behind you, and they've got all of your Instagram shots behind you while you're flexing on stage, like all filtered and, and edited. Yeah.
All your gym selfies.
Everyone in the audience, that's the same guy.
I don't. Selfie
round. Justin looks very disappointed right now. I don't know.
Well, it drives me crazy when people change every week where they're taking photos. I have to explain to them the obvious. I want to pick a spot, and before you know it, I will know everything about that room. I'll know if you're an inch too close, an inch too far to the left. You need to have apples to apples comparisons.
The one
and
that
bright
really...
lighting. Don't do those King Kamali kitchen light. The light coming in the side. I know you look great with overhead lighting, shadow, but that's not how the stage. The stage is bright ass spotlights right on you, washing out any shadow definition.
Yeah, blast it out. Yeah.
I love when dudes send me their Instagram pics. It's like they're putting the filters on them and they're in the goon lighting and they've got the sharpness turned all the way up,
sharpened.
Yeah.
I'm like that does not tell me anything, man. Send me the regular pictures.
That and the dudes who don't seem to know how much of their upper dong they should show in their pictures.
Yeah.
Or
need to make sure you see
more information about your condition.
Nobody needs to see that part.
I don't need to see veins down there.
Right. They want to show the veins right above their chin.
If your crotch is lean, you're real.
We don't need to see
Oh,
that.
that is the
Amy's sitting
weirdest
over here
thing,
like,
'cause
yeah, it's awful. It's terrible. I hate it when people send me that.
Well, that is
Never
the
want those
weirdest thing.
pictures in my inbox.
That's like universal.
Don't send such
Oh,
pictures
I'm in
to
shape
Amy's
now. Let me
guys.
show the top of my trunk of my crop.
Yeah.
So weird. I don't know.
I love when dudes fluff it up for the check-in
Oh
photos. I'm
gosh.
I'm like, come on, man. I know what you're doing.
Yeah, Kevin LeBron.
You can't-
like, stock in
can't
the
fool-
drawers.
You can't fool another guy with that trick.
No.
We all know that trick.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I try to like hide it as much as I can. I'm like, I can get out of the
Tuck it
way.
back.
I don't want these to see anything.
Now, on the flip side of the coin, the smiley face over it is ridiculous. too.
Yeah. Yeah, I always wonder. Yeah, what were you embarrassed? Were you just gotta have a cold water, or were you proud? What's going on here? Is there a little pee stain? I wouldn't even notice without the smiley face, but now I'm curious.
You gotta love the guys with the emojis too. They'll put, like Paul said, the smiley face in front of their dong, but they forget to make it, big enough where like the tip's hanging out the bottom of the emoji. I've gotten
Some
that
of us
by
don't have
accident.
that problem.
I usually just try to find a really
That
long
one
emoji
messed
that goes
up.
almost to my knees. And it's like no one knows. It could be there for a reason. It could not.
Put the eggplant on there.
You have like
Yeah.
10 smiley faces in a row. Like I just got
Yeah.
covered up.
It's for your protection, honestly. I want you to
Smiley
grow
faces
up never
down to my
knowing what it feels
knee.
like to be a real man.
Stupid.
Oh man, yeah, that always cracks me up. Well, Brandon looked great, man.
Yeah, he really
I
did.
thought he there for a bit. I thought he maybe had a shot at taking.
Yeah,
Andrew.
when I in person, I knew he wasn't winning, but I really, really wanted him to get that top 3 call out because I knew they were going to give everyone equal time, so you could at least go into finals thinking there's a chance. But
they did compare him.
yeah,
They compared them together, and Andrew, man, I just like the thing with him. Like, I'm like, dude, how the fuck are you at that level and you can't pose?
I know it's. You see, if there was one round, posing round where you just stood around or walked or leaned against a counter, he would be straight first.
Yeah. Or if there was a round where you had to like do the splits and not leave the stage when you're supposed to, I think he would win that.
Yeah. The hands on hips, hands in pocket round, the lean against the wall round.
So someday, like he is just. I mean, I don't want to say he's just coasted on his natural ability, but like he has relied on it to a larger degree than many other competitors, possibly every other competitor.
Yeah, he's hard to judge too because in person, it's hard because you get totally different views in person from Instagram, and one's not necessarily always better. In person's better if you're close enough, but if you're in the crowd, you see the transitions in between poses, you see what their flow is like, you see their presentation, but it's hard to get full conditioning unless you're as close as the judges. So at the show, I thought he could have taken Andrew, but then I got back to the Airbnb and got online and looked at pics, and I was like, okay, yeah, Andrew's conditioning was pretty sharp. It's hard to see exactly when you're 10 rows back or whatever.
Well, there's not many people
Yeah.
who can make Samson look small.
Yeah.
I just feel like dude would have a shot of winning if he could just fucking pose.
Yeah,
and
it's like
didn't have an attitude on stage.
Paul Dillette 2.0. Yeah, I mean, been here before.
Like he seems like he's got an attitude. Was it him that did the quarter turn the wrong way? There was somebody that did a quarter.
Oh,
I think it
Yes,
was.
he did. He did it in every single round, even in the comparisons. He did it the wrong way every single time.
we've turned to the right in every bodybuilding competition since the dawn of bodybuilding competitions. Just
That-
they
that's
were,
turn
gotta-
to the
they were
right.
face to
That's-
face every time he turned the wrong way.
That's got to drive the judges nuts.
Yeah, especially it's not like you're guessing wrong. You've only ever turned one way on a stage.
Sometimes
it's not a
when
mystery.
he doesn't follow the rules, it feels like it's intentional. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, like that almost has to be intentional, right? When he does it the wrong way.
I
don't
mean,
know.
didn't he like take a lot of extra time for his like personal posing routine or whatever the fuck it's called? And
The
like
one that was
they're
terrible.
yeah.
That was so-
I
it
mean
was
that's
so
subjective,
bad.
but yeah, I also didn't think it was. I was like, what the fuck? Like it was very clearly. It looked like something that a child composed for themselves, like choreographed from themselves to put on for a show when their family has company over.
Talent
you know what I mean?
show.
Yeah. They're like,
Middle
Andrew's
school
coming down,
talent show.
guys. Everybody watch. He's got
Yeah,
a,
it's like-
got a
yeah,
dance
like
he's gonna do.
At
And
Christmas,
like he
when you
didn't
and
get
your
off the
cousins put
stage when
something
he was supposed
together,
to. Come on, man.
tell the parents to.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy. I'm probably. I mean, he's an incredibly talented guy. He's one of the best bodybuilders in the world. I don't really have much room to criticize, but like, it drives me nuts seeing somebody that should place higher screw it up just from posing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and yeah,
If I was his coach,
obnoxiousness.
I'd be just grabbing him like, dude, what are you doing, man?
And no one
Stop
likes to practice posing. No one, we're not dancers. We're not, no one loves that part, but it is a part of the sport.
Speak
I mean,
for yourself, Justin.
Yeah, I can't get him out of the posing room. He's got the headbands on. He's got sweatbands on his wrists. Flash dance is cranked up. I'm like, we gotta go.
Yeah, that is tough
Can't get
to
him out of
leave.
there.
If flash dance is on, because I am a maniac on the floor.
He's in there splashing water on himself. I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, that bucket on the ceiling.
Well, I think he's definitely costing himself placing. But I mean, I don't know. He wouldn't have taken Samson. Samson was better than him. But
I don't see. Yeah, there's no way it was changing this time. But the thing is, though, I think he was closer to Samson. If Samson hadn't just won the Olympia, I think it was close enough he possibly could have. Because Samson, I thought, was a little off. Not a little off, but he just, when you're the number one guy in the world, there's not, doesn't take much to not be the number one guy in the world.
There was something weird going on with his abs. Like his lower abdomen looked really watery. But
he's had that several times. I think whatever they're doing with loading, because you can imagine what's happening. He's eating food. There's sodium in the food. Maybe he's too sodium depleted. Maybe he's trying to pull sodium the rest of the week. And then any sodium he then eats, it's going to be sitting in his stomach. It's going to draw water to that area. And, and it's just going to kind of sit there. That's what I would guess, is maybe he's trying to do some kind of sodium manipulation. And it's just not timed right. But if that is what he's doing, every coach I think has tried to play with sodium and then learned that you don't, because if it works, it's great. If it doesn't, you get something like that.
He did look much better at finals than he did in prejudging. Whatever they did clean him up quite a bit. He was definitely watery in prejudging, but at finals, he still had it was just like Amy said, it was just this weird. His legs were dry, but I've never seen anybody. Usually, it's the legs where you'll see the water, but his lower abdomen was like soft. It was weird.
Yeah. Well, and his upper abs weren't. It was like he had this spare tire of water just on his lower abdomen. It was so strange.
Yeah, blurry. It was almost blurry all the way around.
Yeah. Well, then when he'd kind of lose any bit of control, it would really look weird, because it just looked so disjointed, top to bottom. It was this weird thing, top to bottom, looks so strange.
He's had that in other shows in the past, not his last couple, but one. I remember one of his first shows. It was getting a lot of hype for. It was kind of like that.
I mean, maybe
I had Derek's parents sitting right behind me. It was so pretty cool. They were nervous, but I actually pulled up your Instagram and showed it to them, because we were sitting farther back than you were. So his mom, she's like, "Can I take a picture of that so she could follow you?" Because your pictures were so good, and they were coming in quickly enough that I was able to show her when they did the second call outs to calm her down a little bit. I'm like, "No, you crushed it."
Your pictures were good. That's a good thing. That's a good skill to have, photography at those shows, because if you get known as the guy to go to get to the pics, that's going to be a ton of traffic.
Everybody was doing Paul's pictures.
Good.
He was posting
the only thing I did differently was buy a new phone. I wish I could bring in. I don't think you can bring in your professional cameras. I have really good cameras.
You could. They didn't seem to care, because the Generation Iron people had their stuff, and they weren't official sponsors or anything.
At the Olympia, they weren't fucking around.
No,
you weren't even allowed to take videos with your phone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even at prejudging at the Olympia, they were all over everybody. About pictures. But there were people, because I was again sitting a little bit farther back than you guys were, and there were definitely people there with cameras, taking video, taking pictures. It didn't seem like they cared about any of that.
Yeah, it just can't be absurd. You can't have a giant block of a camera.
I mean, the live stream was free and it was better. So I guess they kind of figure well,
I didn't know.
Yeah, the live stream was free and it was really good. And you could even watch it on replay. It was, and they had the Strongman was live streamed too for free.
I had no
idea. If you get the app, you can always go back to it and rewatch anything from the past few years.
Arnold was definitely taking some shots at the IFBB when he was up there giving a speech.
Well, and what he said about class or physique, the board shorts, It's coming.
It's almost. I feel like it's almost his shtick now, where like he's got to like. He knows he's going to get kind of a chuckle from the crowd, or he's got to do the thing where he like shows, I'm still the biggest dick in this. He's just kind of always got to like say like take a dig at whoever he's talking to, or just kind of just. Which I mean, I don't know. He's an old man. That's what old men do, I guess. But he's an old man who's also Arnold, so he can definitely do it.
I get the impression that Arnold is. I mean, obviously he's a ball buster, but I get the impression that not only does he like to dish it out, but he likes when people fire back. I don't know.
I'm just glad he stopped interviewing the women.
That was
somebody told him no this year.
Yeah.
Somebody had to like tell him.
Yeah.
For sure, like this is not good.
Well, they would give him a list of questions to ask them, and then he would get up there and ask them what they do for their ass.
How's your butt so nice?
It's out of control. You must spend a lot of time in the gym working on them. What do you do?
So cringy. Yeah, it was
Dirty old man.
Let's talk more about your glutes.
That was rough.
Yeah, he was busting Jim Mannion's balls. It was
that was the best. Jim Mannion got up and like gave the most like standard boring speech you can imagine, and Arnold follows him. Arnold follows him, gets up on stage and says everybody thanks Jim Mannion for his speech. Thanks, Jim. That was a real eye closer. and then, like, I guess Jim hadn't shuffled off too far backstage at that point, so he must have said something to Arnold, and Arnold's like, "Oh, I didn't like that. I love it." Oh, so good. I love Arnold.
I was pretty impressed. Like the difference between bikini and wellness, I think, is becoming so much more defined, which was really cool to see. It's easier now to show people who even don't know the sport a wellness competitor and a bikini competitor, and for them not to think that they are the same, which was I thought pretty cool. Yeah. And especially was impressed with who they chose as the winner. I think Vanya looked far closer to conditioning that Laura Lee had at the Olympia, far more so than Amy. I thought Amy came in, even though she's so petite, just a little bit over muscled. Like her density of muscle, I think it is because she's so short, is just so kind of in your face. Whereas Vanya really kind of has that like a little bit leaner, a little bit lighter feel of her muscles, which I thought was a great contrast to, especially to like looking at the wellness competitors, but just overall, I thought she looked amazing. And Ashlyn looked great too, but I definitely think Vanya was the clear winner in that category.
Yeah, I hope they need to, like that, because that's a tricky, if they don't get that really defined well what the look they're going for, because the problem is at the state level, your bikini overall winner is almost always the wellness overall winner. They're so similar, and then you get to the national level. Exactly. But they really start branching out on the national level, and so like if you don't have it well defined, they can drift into each other very easily. I mean, that's what physique drifted into bodybuilding, figure drifted towards physique. It all tends towards more muscular and harder until it's basically the division, the next harder division or conditioned division above them, if you don't like really start judging a certain look. I like the judging in there too.
Yeah, I think it's especially going to be seeing Fit Model coming next season into pro shows. I think they have to be so much more on it, I think, this season to really make that line of like what they're truly looking for in bikini, because if not, it's literally just those competitors are actually going to look the same. I'm interested to see how that goes.
And they can do it. They did it with Classic with the men. Yep. I mean, I was really worried. Exactly. It's like, okay, is this just going to be mini bodybuilding? But no, it's very clear a different look they're going for, and so they can do it.
Yeah.
I thought
and like respecting each category too. Yeah. Sorry, Paul.
I was gonna say, I thought overall the judging was fantastic.
Yeah. I had really no issues across the board. Even into the deeper placings. Usually I always say like the reason it's hard to really criticize the judges because they typically get the first place right. It's usually like people where you're like, yeah, that was weird. It's not like a third or fourth place, but this time it sounded like. I mean, I pretty much had every division across the board. I'm not a judge, but at least from what I thought they did well.
Yeah, I had both the classic top 5 and the open top 5 nailed. It was exactly how I would have called it. It was man, Mike Sommerfeld. Jesus Christ! I don't. Is anybody going to stop that guy?
he came out like a boss, man. He owned the stage. Like he actually had digestive issues too. I listened to a podcast with him on my way home on my flight home, and he also had some digestive stuff going into the show. And he threw some serious shade at Wesley because he's like, I had the same thing happening and didn't change anything for me. I was like, wow, like coming out hard.
I think
Mike.
they're kind of buddies though too, aren't they?
It seems like it, but man,
he's
he was
fucking with him then.
he was kind
Yeah.
of brutal.
I think Mike's probably not too sympathetic because he's goes through he's got an autoimmune issue he's been dealing with his whole career as well.
Yeah.
From what
And
I
doesn't have a house, like lives in Airbnb.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
He
Wild
only
to me.
travels by bicycle, the one that has the big wheel up front, and he only uses weights, barbells that have big spheres on the end. He's old school.
Those dumbbells with a big bulb.
He won. He didn't win best poser, but he did win best mustache.
Yeah. I thought Logan in second place was the most peeled guy in the show.
Yeah, Logan looks great.
Insane. His glutes. Oh my gosh. Like so dry.
Yeah.
He definitely upgraded himself. I just don't know, like, man, if Mike keeps it together, he's probably gonna. I don't see anybody beating him at the Olympia. Do you?
Yeah.
Nope.
No.
I think people underestimate how good Urs is too. I mean, if Urs puts everything together, I can see him giving him a run for his money if that's what they want to see if that's what the judges want to see.
To me, Urs looks like he would be better off going to open.
Yeah, no, I'd agree.
Yeah, Urs could use to. Like, I feel like he would benefit from the size. Like, it seems like he has to work so hard to get to his weight limit.
Yeah,
I agree with you.
But he has so much detail too. I mean, he's one of those guys that you can just look all over and find new detail on Urs.
Yeah, I don't see him ever leaving that class, though. I think he loves that class.
No, he loves it.
The problem is, though, if you get too far above the weight cap, you'll always be able to make weight, but you run into like what Derek Lunsford had in 212. After a while, it's really difficult to make that look the best on stage. You just get so flat. It's just there isn't enough time to bring it back to life. After
that makes sense. That makes a lot of sense, actually. Yeah.
Somebody, Lucas saying, Urs is at 270 now, and he's up to
Holy
8.
shit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's not a classic body.
yeah, that's just gonna get harder and harder to peak. You'll always be able to make weight. I mean, because like if you've ever worked with power lifters, or you can make weight. You can always make weight, but if eventually you just can't bring it back to life.
Yeah, his body definitely wants to grow for sure, and he's still so young.
I was just really impressed with the classic group overall. I mean, it was just a great. I mean, Matt looked really good. I can't believe Matt was a Men's Physique guy 2 years ago.
Yeah.
That whole division is really, I mean, that's going to be the top. I mean, the young kids. It's impressive what they did. They brought the new division out. They stuck to their guns on. It's not just going to be bodybuilding. They found the look they like, and it's pretty. You as a coach, you can coach for the look. It's very genetically structural, but you can coach for it. And then it's just booming in popularity. You talk to a kid under 25 and they barely know the open guys anymore. They love the classic.
Yeah.
Well, there's definitely a new IFBB Classic Pro who's going to help that also.
Oh yeah, and
the Sam effect,
Who's that?
right?
Yeah. I mean,
a very little
not
well-known YouTuber.
Well, I feel bad for the kid because there's going to be so many people who are annoyed by it, but that's really, really helpful for the industry. I mean, it will bring money to everyone in the industry. We're all going to benefit from that.
Yes.
And he did really well too.
He
Like,
did.
he legitimately did
finally
well.
peaked
It's so
well,
funny,
yeah.
like watching anybody who chooses to hate on this kid. Like it's like, bro, like what he did was insane.
No,
like, can you just give the kid his props? Like, fuck.
Yeah, and then like if you argue whether it's earned or not earned, if anyone out there did what he did and built a following like that, they would have earned the same potential, I don't want to say hand holding, but like the same fast track. And I think he did look really good. I think he looked amazing and deserved it. But he's going to hear that his whole career that maybe he didn't. But anyone out there, if they did the same thing and built that kind of following, would be in the exact same boat. So he did earn it from that way.
Yeah, I mean, I give the guy kudos. He was under a lot of pressure too. It was a no-win scenario for him.
It's true. Yeah.
Regardless. Man, I want to talk about Matt Grego really quick though. Like, I don't know if you've ever like that dude.
Impressive.
Look at this before and after.
Amazing.
Wow.
I love that shape.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is a great shape.
Yeah. He has
We
beautiful
saw-
symmetry between his chest and his abs. Like just
Well, look at his before though. Like you can see how big his fucking leg. Like look at his calves.
Yeah.
He's got
Yeah.
huge legs
Yeah.
already right there. You know.
Yeah, he's a big boy
He's just a little chonky.
Yeah.
by bodybuilding standards. I always feel like it's important. Like my brain says that silently. I get so used to hanging out with you guys and saying things like, "Yeah, on the left, he's definitely a little fat." I'm like, I gotta remind myself. I'm like, not for life, Colin. Just for this conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I saw Matt a couple of years ago when I competed in the DC Pro Am. He was there competing as a men's physique guy, and I don't know. I don't even think he was in the top 5. I don't remember. And then now he's killing it in classic. I don't know how much he put on, but crazy amount of size he's put on.
Yeah, and I know he lifts and trains with Derek, which I think is going to be a good influence for him.
Yeah, I think him and Derek train together, right? They're training partners.
Yeah, and I know that that he went through a lot of like mental anguish, kind of going through
Mental
his
health
career
issues and depression and stuff. Yeah, he's a good kid, from what I understand.
I'd hope to think Derek will be a good influence on him, because we all know this sport can sometimes get pretty dark mentally.
Yeah. I
sure.
feel like
Another
Derek
one.
is the right sort of mentor to have in this sport. He seems to have his head on straight.
Yeah,
There's
That's
another one.
that picture right there. 10 years difference. That everyone who's early in the sport and like trying to grow and add size and frustrated with their progress. What is that? 100 pounds difference?
Probably.
Maybe less even. So 10 pounds a year max. That's what 10 pounds of muscle a year for a decade does.
Decade.
Everyone watching that's mad they didn't gain 40 pounds this year or thinks they're going to gain 40 pounds this year or mad that they're only gaining 1 pound a month. That's what happens if you keep doing that.
That's right. And just for everybody in the audience, let's be clear, a decade, that's 10 human years.
Yeah.
Not dog use.
not for nothing. That's a stellar 10 years.
That is to point that out too. Like that's 10 years where he was doing fucking everything right.
Yeah.
Right?
So all you people out there who are like, it's been 6 months. I only gained 5 pounds.
Yeah.
That's what
I'm one
happens
cycle
if you
away
keep
from the
doing
Olympia
that.
speed,
You are-
Joe.
That's rapid growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love it when I get clients. It's like, Paul, it's been 2 weeks. I haven't gained any weight. I'm like, man.
Eat a bunch of pickles and drink a half gallon of water and then step on the scale.
There you go.
You'll gain the weight you
Boom,
want.
big.
Boom, big.
Just take some D-ball.
That's awesome.
I think that's why guys fall in love with D-ball so much.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, 100%.
We put on 2 pounds a day for 2 weeks.
Yeah. It's real muscle. Why is your skin so pink?
Your blood pressure will be 180 over 100,
But you're way over 180, and that's what matters.
that is the ultimate go to the club. When I was in my 20s, man, all the dudes that wanted to look big for the club, they would just load up on the D-ball.
And they do push-ups in the parking lot
Oh,
too.
it's a club pump. Yeah. You got to get your club pump.
Yeah. These guys, like some of my friends had like the push-up little bars, and they grab them and just start going to the club.
You can do either a bag of D-ball or a bag of Amy's home baked cookies.
Yeah.
There
That'll
you
feel
go.
good.
My cookies are anabolic.
Yeah.
D-ball and Jaeger bombs. That's how I live my 20s.
Paul, can you shoot me like the login information or something? I can't. I'm dying here, not being able to manage the chat. Killing me.
Did you show up prepared, Colin?
Oh, that's not my forte, Dave. Have you met me?
Yeah.
Yeah, he says.
I'm gonna do like a true.
You're lucky if I show up at
I
all.
specialize
on
in
time.
unpreparedness.
I'm gonna do
Prepared
like
on top of that. Come on, you're asking for a lot, bro.
I'm gonna do like a true IT guy. Have you tried doing a password reset yet, Colin?
Well, it's
Restart
not
your
my
computer.
it's not my account I'm logging into. I'm logging into your account, I think.
It's asking me
No.
for a one-time passcode.
No, I think I made you an admin. Folks, remember that Colin is an IT professional for a career.
Yeah.
We worked together in IT for I don't know, a decade. But yeah, I was just impressed overall with just the quality competitor. That show too was just Did you figure it out, Colin?
Yes, I figured it out. Everybody, just in case you're right, this is a little glimpse into Paul's relationship with me. I do something wrong and then I complain about it, and then he tells me how to do it right, and then it works, and I'm like, man, shut up. And he says, I told you so. And that's just like every goddamn day with this asshole.
I don't say I told you so all the time.
You want to?
I'm more clever about it. I try to.
I make you say it.
Yeah, exactly. I just did.
I'm more clever. Man, I hate to keep going on the Arnold thing, but the Derek was just, man. Anybody who thinks Samson won that show just wasn't
Derek
there, man.
was so impressive. I was the same boat because I had him winning, but winning, and I was like, God damn, that looked insane. So to talk to people who thought otherwise, I was like, man, I'm confused because I thought that was just an impressive look.
Yeah, I agree. I think it was pretty clear, especially if you were there. But I think I was like traumatized by some bad decisions in the past because I couldn't get it out of my head. I was like, I think they might give it to Samson. They shouldn't, but I think they might.
Yeah.
I'm glad they didn't.
Yeah.
Definitely.
He was a clear winner. I would love to see how he would have looked if he had brought that conditioning to the Olympia, how he would have looked next to Hottie. Like if you take perfect Derek and perfect Hottie, like who wins that?
I thought that Derek, I mean, it might have, like time bias in that this was just the most recent show, but that was just one of the more impressive physiques I remember for a while.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
When he walked out, I was like, yeah, because for him, he's always impressive, but his quads get flat. He's got like incredible legs in the off season, but when he walked out and his quads were flopping around as he was walking, I was like, wow, I think he's finally nailed it.
Man, from behind when he turns around, that's when he closes the door.
Oh, it's just like the detail is wild.
Yeah, like
his
crazy
glutes,
detail.
his hamstrings, his back.
Yeah.
Like he's got so much.
Well, if you notice, halfway through his posing round, a cell phone fell out of the grooves between his hamstrings. I don't know if it got trapped in there backstage or.
Yeah. His posing was really good too. Like really nailed his posing.
I was going to say he improved some of his posing shots, like his ab and thigh was much better.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. If he could level out his shoulders just a tiny bit in some of his front poses, but other than that, I thought it was spot on.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of the best physiques I've ever seen in person.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he looked.
I thought his
better
lats too. I was kind of hoping there'd be more discussion because everyone was saying he was SEO in his lats before, which I always thought he was just a little flat. Where the lump people were saying was not where it would be from SEO, from seeing it in people in the past. And so he didn't have it this time because he was finally filled out. I think when he flattens out, that's one of the areas that kind of flattens out right at the armpit. If you guys remember any of that, complaining people were insisting he was pinning his lats or whatever, which he might, but what they were pointing out was just him not being full.
Mm. Yeah, it did look like there was some sort of a ball in his lats.
But that's not where, like, if you can look at Nasser's front double by from any of the late 90s to see where injecting your lat shows up. And you also lose all your definition from the back. You really lose your separation through the upper back. And also you can see with Nasser. I don't know because I don't know what he was doing, but from my experience with other people doing things over the years, what that ball was just the insertion point and him being flat. Similar to how, like, when you're flat, your biceps look a little bit different the way they,
No, it's true. That's not where you're going to pin it anyhow.
Yeah, and even if you did, it would leak down. The inflammation would be lower.
I had Larry Pollock on. I talked about this before, and he talked about. I guess he knew Nasser, but Nasser's SEO protocol, and he was doing 100 cc's in each side every week. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. He was.
Shoulders,
remember
arms,
when he got
everything.
You guys know the Olgie Olgenthorpe or Goldie Goldenthorpe from Slapstick, or the movie? What the hell? That hockey movie?
Yeah, Slapstick.
Yeah. Well, I met him at the Birchwood Athletic Club in Port Huron, Michigan, big hockey town. And he knew Nasser really well. And he was telling me all Nasser's protocol. But if you remember, Nasser got all that surgery to get stuff removed from his rear delts. Olgi Olgenthor said apparently Nasser was doing 3 cc's of test suspension a day in each rear delt, and then obviously got infected.
That's crazy. Scott, my buddy Scott, he's talking about classic, whether the difference between that and open, if it's structure or not. He thinks that essentially, imagine Andrew Jack at a classic weight. I think some dudes just can't get down that. I mean, I was almost 20 pounds over the classic cutoff. I would have looked emaciated at 232.
When I say like the structure, if Brandon Curry could get down and make weight, I don't think he would place well in classic. I think it's too round. It's too. That's what I mean by it. I think there's a certain structure that gets judged. Well, so I saw someone in the comments said they disagreed with the structure comment about classic.
Yeah, it was my buddy Scott. Yeah, Scott's got a great podcast, by the way. Scott's been on with us before. I have to get Scott back on.
Scott's great.
Yeah, I recognize the name from something.
Scott's a G.
Did you guys see? It's a little off topic, but Stefan was mentioning on Fuad's podcast that I think it's like 5 pounds Sean Clarida would have to drop to make classic for his height.
Oh, no kidding. See, I don't think he would do well in classic though.
No, but that'd just be cool to kind of have a pro show. He'll probably place and pro show, do a pro show.
Oh, yeah.
12.
Sean's getting up there now, isn't he? Isn't he in his mid-40s?
Yeah, because he's been around a while. That would make sense.
He's probably 40, I'd imagine.
How old is Brandon?
42. I think Brandon 42.
No, 42 maybe. Yeah.
Sean Clarita's 40. Okay.
Oh, weird. I thought he was like
Sean Clarita's 42.
Okay.
42. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know, Justin, is Brandon definitely doing the Masters Olympia?
Yeah, we're gonna do the Masters though, and
When's Masters Olympia?
I don't know. Remember the exact date? It's a little
August?
before. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like the first weekend in August. It's in Japan.
Yeah.
It's around. Yeah, it's like the 10th or something. I think they moved the date.
It's like I think we were like 19 weeks out or 8 at the Arnold, something like that. It's somewhere late summer.
I would think that he would do pretty well. He has a good shot of winning that.
Yeah, I don't know who else would. I mean, if he looks like he did at the Arnold, I don't know who beats it. There's only 2 people on the planet who beat it in the Open, really.
I mean, Kamal was.
There are 3 people.
Kamal would be probably his toughest competition. I think.
I don't know if you guys walked around and saw Nick Walker. I think he was there for Wolf Pack or whatever. But I mean, he's just like, he doesn't even look like a human species.
He's
a big guy.
He is so big.
So
like his head looks so tiny because he's got such huge shoulders.
His arms don't look right because they're as wide as they are long. I've never seen a square arm before. They're usually rectangles, long rectangles.
Yeah, just feel like when you reach that size, like you owe it to the world to just move through crowds in slow motion with the Terminator theme blasting.
Yeah, I mean, but he looks uncomfortable when everybody's sitting there taking pictures of him. He's standing up on a little stage for Wolfpack, the protein company there.
Wolf
Cola. And you can tell he doesn't like it. He doesn't like being like a animal in a zoo that everybody looks at.
Yeah.
It's like you can't help it. You look at it, that guy doesn't even look like a human.
Well, just everything, even his neck, he's just big everywhere. It's like, you train neck because that is a 22-inch
You
neck.
train neck. It's neck day.
Neck day.
Every day is neck day for Nick Walker. Neck Walker. I don't know.
I mean, he is a large human being.
Oh, he's so big. It's crazy. And there was a guy in the animal cage who benched 1,000 pounds. I guess I forget his name. Do you guys remember what his name was?
Oh, no. It's the dude from last year, Julius Maddox, right?
Oh, Julius.
Yeah, that was it.
Did Julius put a shirt on?
I didn't see it.
I worked with Julius for about a year when he was first trying to get to 800.
They said he did 1,000 this year. I didn't see it.
That's a deadlift. That's not a bench press. What the fuck? That's amazing.
I'll
look it up.
We got blood work done he had benched 777 or whatever by that point. His test levels were 250 nanograms per deciliter.
Get out of here.
He wasn't even on. He was not on anything. He's just he's like like one of those NFL defensive linemen. Just like, and if you ever watch him bench, he missed 800. He trained. He went for it at a gym I train at here in Michigan, Kalamazoo, my local gym. He missed 800 the first time because they had the wrong number of plates on one side of the bar.
Oh my!
Like the greatest bench in history. This is how like insane all of this is. And so they racked it, reset the weight. He missed the next one because he didn't lay on the bench flat because he just dropped down and benched. Like you're setting world records. These guys, like, they spend 10 minutes in their setup. They have guys measuring things. Fingers here on the bar, push to your shoulder blade touches this point. He just dropped back and laid down, and then he missed it because he was crooked on the bench and he started flopping over.
He is a large human being.
Yeah.
From front to back, how thick he is doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
You walk to walk around him, you have to go like 3 aisles over and then walk around him.
Yeah.
You imagine that guy on the defensive line?
That's what I always think. I mean, that's those genetics. Like someone like that
holding the line,
stumbled into bodybuilding. I mean, like there's who knows how many NFL players over the years had the potential to do something like that. Those guys just walking around at 360 fat, but 360 running, running 4.940s and just
those are different humans. I love it. There are humans that are made to be cloistered up in a tower somewhere writing books like a scribe, and then there are humans like that. They are meant to be swinging an axe on a field somewhere. For sure. Awesome.
Did you see talking about big guys? There was a thing where the Dallas Cowboys, their defensive Micah Parsons, their defensive tackle, I guess linebacker, but one of the best pass rushers in the NFL, went up against some sumo wrestlers in Japan. These guys were just stoning him.
Yeah,
really.
They were. It was like watching them play with a child. And they were all standing around like laughing, like all the sumo wrestlers were like, "Yeah, this is going about as we expected."
wild.
I love it.
Yeah. Hey guys, I gotta drop off. I can only be here for a little bit today.
Oh, thanks for coming on.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Justin.
See you.
All right. I don't know if we got any questions or not. I'm trying to find this video, Michael Parsons versus sumo wrestler. It was hilarious, man. This guy just like stoned him, and they were all the sumo wrestlers just laughing at him.
Yeah.
I wonder if it'd be any different though if they were on a football field.
Maybe with pads and cleats.
I mean, certainly a different objective than sumo, but I'll be honest with you, there's enough overlap with sumo that I feel like if they were a lineman on a field, they would still be pretty successful. I'd be honest with you.
Yeah.
Now that being said, there is a famous, I believe he was Polish judoka who traveled to Japan to do sumo, and there's no weight limit. And he, is like half the size, a third of the size of some of these guys, but because his judo knowledge and ability is so good, he actually was like throwing these big boys around. Yeah, this is so good.
Guy's just like not even trying.
I mean, look at the size difference. They're not, he's as big as the other guy. It's just, it's all leverage and timing and skill,
Like a baby. Oh my god,
that's fantastic. I love the mutual respect too.
Yeah, it's all about leverage and shit. All right, do we have any questions here?
We got a couple, not too terribly many, but
guys, if you got questions, get them in.
Yeah. Oni Rosis, anything wrong with taking methylene blue daily without any breaks?
Serotonin syndrome.
I mean, I use it daily. I've been using it daily for it's probably been like 6 months now. But yeah, I mean, if you take too much, yeah, sure, it'll build up and you'll have serotonin syndrome. But I take 10 milligrams a day. I've been doing it it's probably been about 6 months now, at least since September, October, November, December, January. Yeah. So
Man, when I tried it, I had a huge like I did it for a couple days. Like I must be just hypersensitive to shit. It really like ramped me up, and then I've like crashed hard when I stopped it after a couple days. I did use it a couple times this week, just a really, really, really small dose, and I did better with it this time. I think maybe my body was a little more used to it, but I like my borderline felt like depressed when I stopped.
Yeah, I do know, like you say, you know, serotonin accumulation can build up. But I've also heard some people having it mess with their gut biome over time. So I don't know how true that is, but
For me, the
that's
main
something to watch out for.
unintended
saying
side
using
effect. Oh, I'm sorry.
Using it daily causes excess oxidative stress in the brain. It's really best 1 to 2 days a week. Yeah, I'm trying to limit it. I didn't feel great but I'll tell you this, I did get a lot of shit done at work. When I took it, my check-ins were like
I don't know. I guess like you're overly sensitive, and I'm not very sensitive because I
Colin
take it.
drinks the whole bottle, and he's like, take a nap.
I think one thing about it though is like because it increases like oxygen utilization so much, it prevents your hematocrit from going up significantly. So if you're like using a bunch
I didn't
of
know
gear,
that.
yeah. So if you're using a bunch of gear, it'll kind of help keep that under control for someone that has a
Did
problem.
not know
That's
that.
interesting.
Another cool unintended side effect of methylene blue is, you know, if you get up to pee in the middle of the night and you're not 100% accurate, you will know where you missed the next morning because it'll be green on the floor. So that's fun.
Yellow and blue makes green.
Yeah, that's definitely been something. You know, like we clean our guest bathroom, but I'm in charge of cleaning like our bathroom next to the bedroom, and it was really weird how much like green was. Yeah, you know. So yeah,
I feel like an alien after I take it. I'm using the bathroom. I'm like, I'm basically Spock right now.
Yeah.
yeah.
I don't think enough to make my pee turn green. So,
Well, then you're
Well,
not
yeah,
taking
one
it.
drop.
Yeah.
That's gonna do nothing.
Pump those numbers up. All right, let's see. We got here. Adam paid 10 cash money dollars to ask, I'm in a bulking off-season context. When would Justin's left. Justin left. I'm sorry, dude.
I can answer in Justin's
When would
stead.
Justin choose to add carbs to the low days versus just adding more carbs to the medium and or high days? What would he look for to make that decision? Channel your best Justin Harris, Paul. Go.
Well, I've been working with Justin for a long time. What, 5 years now? Something like that. But I'll tell you what I do. I do like to keep the low days in a slight deficit at all times. I think it helps with sort of the super compensation that happens with the high days. I do like running a high day after the low day. Typically is when I run the high day. If I get somebody that we hit the upper limit of what we can handle on the medium in the high days, then sometimes you're only, and they're just not gaining weight or they're losing weight. Sometimes the only option is to add to the low day. But I generally like to keep the low days pretty low if I can, and then push the calories in on the other. And you think about it, like really the variable for carb cycling is the carbohydrate intake.
Right.
And there's not going to be the energy demand or potential to synthesize glycogen on a low day anyway. So there's really not a whole lot of point in adding in the excess carbs anyway. You're just going to get fat.
Mm-hmm.
Usually is what I've seen is if you start pushing the calories too much on the low day. So I like to save those for the high day. If we're going to go really high on the calories, especially if we're pushing the carbs higher, we're going to keep the fats low. So if I were to increase anything on the low days, it'd probably be the fats. Usually is what I will do. So it's you sort of tilt the scale one direction or the other. On the high days, fats are super low. On the lower days, usually sometimes I'll even go zero carbs with people, and then I'll push the fats up.
Yeah, I've been zero carb low days forever with you.
I feel better on the zero carb low days, to be honest with you.
Sometimes I'll move up, like if hunger is an issue for some people, I'll keep carbs low, but just move up the protein too, possibly if recovery needs a little bit of a kick. But in a bulking context too, trust me, you'll very quickly get sick of eating a ton of food. So like you might enjoy having the carbs as low as possible and just having a food volume lower. It's going to be better for your stomach to catch up. You're going to be able to kind of get insulin sensitivity improved. And if you're going to like maybe clean up or just like drop a little bit of water weight that's accumulated through the week, you can keep the carbs low and get a little extra cardio on the low days as well. So there's definitely benefits too.
I've actually been doing some intermittent fasting on my low days. I'll sometimes I'll do a 24-hour fast on my low days.
Yeah,
that's something John Meadows used to talk about, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
I know Steve. Steve doesn't carb cycle, but I know he does intermittent fasting as well.
Yeah. No, it's nice to just give your gut a break and kind of reset and clear everything out, like once a week or so. And I think it's beneficial. Like guys think they're gonna like lose all their muscle in that day, and it doesn't really happen.
No.
Yeah.
No, you don't. It's actually, once you have real tissue, it's kind of hard to lose it. I really haven't been eating a lot, and I've been eating 3 or 4 times a day. I've probably only been eating about 200 grams of protein, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
And you guys saw me. I'm not in the shape I was at the Olympia, but I think I've held up okay.
It's kind of the same for me. Like from the Olympia to the Arnold, like I was barely doing anything, and I held up okay, but I was definitely a little smaller than
great to me.
I had been.
Both of you are great.
So
I'm like a whole other person since the Olympia.
Well, so like this last week, I started eating 6 meals a day again, and I was like 242 at the Olympia, and this morning I was 262. I also started taking Serostim again, so everything just started blowing back up again.
D-ball. What about D-ball? Did you take that?
What's that?
What about D-ball? Did you take
that? You want injectable anadrol's in there, but not D-ball.
It's funny. Anytime anybody tries real Serostim, they're like, oh, they get it.
Yeah, it is not the same as generic.
Yeah. So
it is definitely not the same as generic.
Yeah, today I'm taking a rest day, and I'm like taking a break from eating because I've been eating a lot the last week, but it's been good. It's been good. Everything's just been filling out and blowing back up.
I actually haven't been using GH the last couple months.
I hadn't taken any all this year. I hadn't taken any. I stopped using GH like maybe a month before the Olympia, I think. So it's been a while since I've had any at all. So it's kind of nice to feel it all again. I've already noticed like my freaking hands, like my coordination is like so. I feel so dumb. I'm like getting my pills out and just dropping stuff. I'm like, what the fuck? Like I can't. What is wrong with me?
Giant muffin hands.
Yeah, just dropping things, and I feel so clumsy. But whatever.
I remember when I tried.
That would be a good Halloween costume for you, Chase. You could be Edward Serostim hands.
Chase, I'll be
Edward Scissorhands costume. Just
be like
instead of the scissor
Mickey
hands,
Mouse
just have
hands.
it's Mickey Mouse hands, just comically giant hands. And he can't hold anything.
Right.
I remember when I tried 18 units for a while, I couldn't get my hand in Justin's intra workout shake container. My hand would not fit through the
Oh yeah. That's real shit. Like I trying to get into like the intra workout carb, like my hand just like stuffs in it. I'm like,
I had to turn it on its side and like kind of get the scooper in there.
This sounded kind of sexual now, I'll be honest with you.
No, I've like
turn it on its side, and
I had this little scrape on my hand because I like hit it on my like cupboard or whatever. But I keep like breaking it open on the workout thing, trying to reach in and get my shit out, reach the scooper.
Well, I have my Serostim ready for my post-surgery recovery.
Yeah.
And some healing peptides.
Nice.
All right, let's grab another question. I got to wrap up here in like 10 minutes. I got a bunch of consult calls this afternoon.
Of course, after that, like now we've got all the questions, of course, right? It's time to go. Let's see here. Dom read my book. Thank you, Dom.
Oh, it's so
It's a
good.
good read. I appreciate that very much. I
Oh,
worked very hard
right
on it,
there.
and I'm very proud of it. Go
nice.
ahead and give me a review on Amazon if you actually read it and you liked it, please. It helps a
Oh
lot.
my gosh, it's so good. Like
Thanks, Dom.
I felt like I was gonna like climb over the table to talk to you about it, Colin. Like I had it I had the book in my hand. I was like, "You want to talk about this now? You can talk about this later." Like, let's talk about this now.
I appreciate
I
that.
got
No,
to
it's fun. I
pick
don't
the
have anybody
author's
to talk
brain.
to about this stuff, like I'm the only one, for a long time I was the only one who was aware of the story, so I didn't have anybody to talk to about it, so it's
No.
tight now,
I still
Cool.
need to read it. I'm
It's
such a
incredible.
slacker.
That's
I've
okay.
been-
You don't have to worry about reading my special book, Paul. It's okay. Don't worry about it.
It's
the
so
one you
good.
It's okay.
dedicated
You're my
to
best
me.
friend.
The,
It's
the one
not
you
big deal. Don't worry
dedicated to
about
me
it.
and pissed my
It's
wife
really neither
off.
here nor there. Yeah, that's right. I dedicated this book to Paul, and I
I'll
got
be
in big
honest
trouble with my wife.
be
She was like,
honest
"What the fuck, bro?" She said to me, she's like, I was like, well, he convinced me to create it. Like, I don't know.
Secretly,
Like,
the
I
whole book.
have all these ideas in my head, but I've never done anything with them.
The
And
whole
then,
book
like,
is a metaphor
something about
your
what Paul
fiction.
said got through to me, and she's like, oh, okay. Like, I don't ever support you and tell you, the things that you're doing are worthwhile, and like, and like, I don't have faith in you. It's like, but your
Oh,
guy
boy.
friend one time tells you. You
Look, we
dedicate
went
the
through a
book to
lot
him.
of trauma together in our
That's
defense.
right. I was trying to explain to her. I was like, it's like a buddy cop sort of thing, It's like, I was like, look, I'll write a love story. I'll dedicate that to you.
Aw.
I'll tell you what a
Oh,
great
shit.
friend I am.
That's facts, Josh. That's facts.
Yeah. I'll tell you what an awesome friend I am. I'll sit down at the end of the night and I'm like, I'll be done with my work and I'm like, I should read Colin's book, but then Path of Exile calls my name. I'll read it tomorrow.
Yeah, that's fine. I'd rather play Path
Uh,
of Exile too.
Audio version, Colin. You should.
I don't know how to go about doing that. When I published on Amazon, there was an option to publish an ebook, a hardcover, and a paperback, but they didn't have any info on audiobooks. So I have to Google.
Well, you got a microphone.
Yeah, I
That's
know.
all you need.
But I just don't know. Like, how do you I don't know. I have questions.
Get it on Audible. Because I'll
I'm
be honest,
busy-
I mean, like
I'm
the-
busy
the-
writing,
like,
to
I
be
heard
honest
your
with you.
voice, in my
Yeah.
head as I was reading it. Like,
sure
it was
that's
ChatGPT
great.
could
such a
tell
good
you.
book.
That's great. That's I'm happy to hear that. This was I drew heavily for inspiration from my own life to try to bring those characters to life.
It was good. I just wanted more. And that's what I told you. I'm like, I wanted that book to be.
I've been writing.
Five
I've got
times
bitten by
thicker.
the bug. Like,
Good.
even just having some tiny amount of success. Honestly, just the success, the real success is like having an idea and getting it on the page for once in my life. I've never been able to do that before. So
Good.
now I'm doing more of it. So yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, there's
I
so
got
much more
one.
there. Like, yeah.
I got a question here I want to answer. Total science. Paul, what's a good local non-tested show I could set my sights on in 2026 if there even is one? I think the Woodbridge show is tested. No, bro. There's only like one tested show. Anything that says NPC on it, they don't test.
Yeah.
Unless
Guys,
it
it's
says-
harder to find a tested show than an untested show.
Yeah. Like the Woodbridge show is not tested. It's believe me, I've had plenty of guys in that. There's the DC program. I mean, there's the Armed Forces Classic, which I think that is the Woodbridge show. There's a bunch. There's the Jay Cutler in Richmond.
Yeah, if you
That's
want
good
tested, OCB is a good organization, and then NPC for non-tested.
We do
There's
have
actually a
the
combo show here, an OCB NPC show next month, which I'm interested to see how that looks and how that runs.
Yeah.
I love the dudes that are natty in for these natty shows, and they're only natty for about 4 weeks going into the show. I get guys reaching out to me all the time that want me to prep them for natty shows with their own gear, and I'm like, wait a minute.
They do lie detector tests around here for the OCB.
Those
They do
things
here
really
too.
fucking work.
I don't know. They try. They say so.
All right, one more question. I got to roll.
Okay.
Yeah, I refuse to prep anybody for a natty show that's on gear. I'm like, just
Yeah. No,
don't
I
be
mean
a
that's
wimp
the
and
whole
get in.
point. Like, yeah.
Shoko, what is the lowest you guys will allow fats to be in the off season and when in a cutting phase, like 0.2 grams per pound, something like that? Do you ever fast for 24 hours for a low day?
Well, I answered that part. I do fast for a low day sometimes. There's been times on contest prep where you've gotten down to just the cod and asparagus where there's no fat basically.
Just trace fats.
Yeah, I will say this, man, never fucking again. I've done that before, and you feel like absolute dog shit. You got to get at least a little bit of EFAs in, even if it's just a few grams of fish oil. I like the lowest I'll take somebody. I learned this from Justin. Sometimes, like if you have somebody who has a really, really stubborn area they just can't get off, if you go zero fats for even just like a week, just trace EFAs, maybe like 10 grams of EFAs, and you take everything down to just the cod and asparagus would be an example, and then throw in a fish oil pill with each meal. That will get that last little bit of fat off, but to me that's just a last fucking resort, man. Like at the very end, and you feel like dog shit when you do it. So I wouldn't go lower than that. Usually in the off season, I'm doing somewhere around 0.2 to 0.3 of added fats, and then you're going to have your trace fats from your meats. So I don't know. I'd say like most of my guys are probably getting 60 to 80 grams of fat in a day on a medium day, something like that.
Yeah. I feel like we get that question a lot for some reason, but I don't understand why if carbohydrates are on the table to be able to push and pull, why we're eliminating fats. Kind of set it and forget it, that 0.3, 0.4 grams per pound, and then just get as much as you can out of cardio for fat loss, and as well as through carbohydrates, manipulate those.
Yep.
And then I do see some guys, when you pull their fats and they're just like Paul says, on for like a week or two on just protein and vegetables, just to really kind of get the last bit of fat off, it's so much harder sometimes to fill them back out.
Yeah, sometimes you got to do it. I mean, it's essentially a protein modified fast.
That's what I was going to say. It's like a PSMF day, which I think
Yeah.
PSMF days are underutilized for sure. It's a
It
great
just
way
wouldn't
to.
be the first thing I go to, though, I guess is what I'm saying. The first thing I wouldn't touch would be fats. It'd be my
Yeah, I mean, I only yank all the fat out if we have no choice. Like if I'm getting down to the end and I got somebody that's just not there, then I'll do that. I would rather them go keto first, or like a keto style diet. Like sometimes I'm not anti-keto, but like sometimes there's some guys that just can't lose fat with carbs in place. There are some people, and I'll yank all the carbs out and just go keto, or like sort of a meat-based diet. I do that on occasion, very rarely. Mostly I do carb cycling though, but I think I'll say this, and this is something that always drives me nuts. Everybody's super worried about fat. I have yet to see a blood panel where somebody is deficient in lipids.
Yeah.
It doesn't exist.
No, I don't think that exists. I mean, unless you were literally like basically starved to death.
Yeah, I love the bros that get obsessed about eating saturated fats so they can have hormone production. I'm like, I've not once seen somebody deficient in LDL on their blood work. I think you're okay. Plus, you're getting all your hormones from a 3cc needle. You don't need extra fat for that.
Yeah, right. What about all the trace fats in those carrier oils? I mean,
yeah.
I know, and most dudes are really concerned with those, Amy, from what I can see.
Yeah. What is it?
That's ridiculous.
I'm like, you add up the fats, actually, it's not that much.
I think
20 mils, 30 mils a week, even that is like,
it's like 20
14 cc's is a tablespoon of oil, I think, right? Something like that.
Yes.
Yeah. So, and there's 14 grams of fat. Yeah. So there's a gram of fat for each cc.
Yeah.
So your 3cc shot is 3 grams of fat.
That's going to put you over the edge.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, I've seen some coaches talking about that before. And I'm like, dude, if we're down to tracking that much, you fucked up somewhere else. Bad.
Exactly. Like, what else is going on in your life? Like, I won't rant.
Maybe be a little more weary in like the recovery phase after a show, having fats in your diet. But if you're in the process of peaking and getting lean and trying to land the plane,
I'll tell you, everybody, and I recommend this book to anybody who's a coach. You got to read the book Know Your Fats. It is the best book. It's 20 some years old now. I forget the name of the lady that wrote it, but she was a she's a PhD, but it's everything you need to know about every different. And that's the thing with
Her
fats.
name's
You can't.
Maria. It's right. It's Maria something. That's a great book.
Yeah, she was a professor. I can't remember, but it's I've read it multiple times. You can't lump all fats into the same category. They're all very different. They do very different things. Most people are deficient, severely deficient in omega-3s. From what I've seen, most people overeat saturated fats and omega-6s, usually saturated fats. So I try to supplement omega-3s in and make sure that there is some balance there. Chase eats 500 calories and injectables oil all day long.
Nah. So it's only
Not that
4
much.
grams.
All right, folks, I got to wrap this up. I got a consult call and I need to eat. Mary Yannick, that's it. Mike. Yeah,
Mike,
thank you.
There we go.
Ah,
To save.
I was thinking Maria, Mary. Yep.
Mike read the book I recommended, I guess. But yeah,
Oh, it's an
that is a
amazing book.
I'm shocked he
Fundamental
read it. It's not an audiobook.
no great
Back in the
book.
day, we used to actually have to read books.
Just kidding, Mike.
I've read so many nutrition books over the years. I go back and read them again. That is an area where I think before we go, it's funny, like everybody's a scientist when it comes to PEDs. Like they want to get down into the details, but then like they're like, you don't need to know about that when it comes to diet. It's just wild to me. They don't get everybody's a PhD biochemist when it comes to tren and
Yeah.
Well, it's because they treat nutrition like religion. That's like it's all theory. What does Han Solo say? Like something about crazy religion. Like that's people when I talk to them about nutrition. They all have these theories or these thoughts about nutrition without any basis in reality or science.
Everybody's worried about the molecular structure and pharmacokinetics of equipoise, but then you start talking to them about fats and they lose their heads, fucking explode.
I got to point out the fact that Amy just referenced a obscure quote from the original Star Wars movie. That's when Han Solo says, "Hokey religions and ancient weapons are not a good match for a blaster at your side, kid."
Yes.
And, I love you more now than I did before, Amy.
Amy's pretty awesome. All right, folks, that's all I've got for you today. We appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you for your support.
thank you.
We'll see you.
Bye.